me know.
You good to go?
Okay, call the meeting to order. Kristen, will you take roll call?
Commissioner Dibdahl?
Here.
Commissioner Corbin?
Here.
Commissioner Wire?
Here.
Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
Mayor Denner?
Here. We have the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Is there any comments or questions? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Move down into appearances and acknowledgement. Do I have a motion to acknowledge application for temporary retail on-off sale malt beverage license and set the date of hearing as May 24th, Greater Madison Area Chamber of Commerce, Lake Area Improvement Court, downtown in Madtown.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any comments or discussion?
How often do two entities apply for a temporary retail liquor license? I mean, shouldn't one of them take the lead?
It's a joint venue, though.
And they will both be on the hook. There won't be a primary and a secondary. But to answer your question, I don't think it's very common.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Can I vote on this, David, or do I have to abstain? Sitting on the chamber board.
Do you have any financial interest in this?
No.
Then you can vote.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Move down into consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar without the board appointments and to move the board appointments down to number 5 under new business.
Second.
Any discussion? Comment? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Move into unfinished business. Provide direction to staff regarding 2021 opening of Madison Aquatic Center. Brad, do you have any updates for us?
I do have some, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I've been working with the engineer to get the plans, the original plans, had them scanned last week and took them over to East River. East River scanned them for us, and so we sent them over and to them electronically, got that done. Been reviewing the documents to put the plans together for the boiler, and then also reviewing the information left to make sure that we have everything covered on the electrical part that needs to be covered. And was kind of fussing a little bit over the heater this morning, and I think I got that figured out. So want to make sure that's covered somewhere in the bids, that it, you know, and it should go on the electrical bid because that's who's going to put it in. So
Did we put a new furnace, a heater in there?
we did not. We had a temporary.
Okay.
We actually had two temporaries to keep up with the heat demand in there, and the existing one needs to be replaced.
Okay.
So we're moving on it, trying to get things done.
Okay.
What's the next step we're at after that?
Basically, it's to get there's one more bid that's going to have to be put together. I'm trying to, like I say, get the bid documents put together, working with Ryan and his crew there, and trying to get that done so we can put that out for the boiler replacement. And then there's going to be the cleaning and blasting and painting one that's got to go on. And then with that, there's some like door hardware and that type of stuff. We'll probably do that, and maybe lump in even that work for cutting the holes in the outside of the building to get the temporary return air plumbed in. So that's kind of the thought process, is all that would be stuff more along the lines of a general contractor.
Sure.
and we'd have that as a separate piece possibly, so,
And that can be done outside. If we can get the electrical done, we can get the pool open.
yes, yes, sir,
The rest of it can be done after the season.
yes, sir. Other than the boiler, we have to get the boiler and the electrical done. Those two, they have to be done to get the thing open as fast as we can.
Got it.
Any other comments, discussion?
Are you putting in any time frame in the bid documents as far as work to be completed, or how's that going?
With the scarcity of resources, I'm afraid if we put any real strict timeline on it, that the price could go up astronomically. And the problem with that is if the prices all come in too high, then we have to reject all bids, go back and modify the plans and re-advertise, and we lose 3 weeks. There's kind of it's a good question. It's a very good question. It's one I've struggled with. And when I talked with the engineer, I said I didn't want to put anything, maybe something into August or whatever that, that we know we're going to get it done yet this summer, but I don't want to put too short of a timeline on it because then we may end up so high that we can't afford to do it and then have to stop. So it's kind of a tough deal. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. There's just how much are you willing to gamble that they'll get after it fast. And so we talked about penalty and how much a day, and so we've been back and forth a little bit on that. But I didn't want to put anything too hard in there because if they can't get the parts, you're just not going to get it done, and the price is going to be extremely high. So it's a tough one. I wished I wished I knew for sure the parts were available, and then we could get more aggressive on it. But right now, it's time and money, and it's hard to juggle that one.
Quite the juggling act, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately. So at this point in time, I erred on the side of cost a little bit as opposed to time, and that we didn't want to incur substantially, at what cost is it worth it to open up the pool for a month versus 3 weeks versus not at all? I mean, some of those things, those are tough questions. I'm not pretending to have the answer to that. That's a tough one. But if the cost is double, is it worth, instead of being the $30,000 or so that we anticipated, is it worth another $30,000 to open it up in that time frame? And so, how much is it worth for 2 weeks? Again, very tough questions. And I erred on the side of that I couldn't come up with any, in my mind, rational argument that it was worth $30,000 or $20,000 or $10,000 a week, at least additional. And so I erred on the side of it's hard to justify the additional cost. And I'm open to suggestion because that's what I'm just telling you what my thought process was. I'm not saying it's 100% right because again, in this case, I'd say there's no right or wrong answers. There's what you're comfortable with. And right now, I'm not happy with wanting to go that direction, but I don't know that I'm comfortable with creating a situation where we either have to pay more or not be open at all. And it's a tough.
We're definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place, unfortunately. And like I've reiterated numerous times, I appreciate the hard work that you've put into this to try to get this done. I know it's a ton of work.
And the plans aren't done, so we can certainly change that. I'm not saying, but that's what I gave them direction right at this point in time, is that I wasn't going to put a hard and fast. But if you want a hard and fast, we can put one in there, knowing that there is a risk that it may come in so high that we won't afford it. So, but it's a great question. I mean, I've struggled with it.
Well, I think we could put something in place with contingencies on availability of equipment needed. So.
I wish we were doing this on March 10th instead of May 10th, and that would, but end of the day, we need to know the availability of the contractors and materials before you'll have a better idea knowing when it's going to be done.
How far are we out from that, Brad?
I believe he was going to be done with the plans here probably just a little over 10 days or so, and we should be able to, once I get a firm date from him, we can possibly, start going through the process of getting it on the agenda for the bid process to get it out for bids. And then I'm going to have to be hustling on the boiler part to get that done so we can probably do them at the same time, 2 separate schedules if we can.
Okay.
I got about a third of the way through the documents so far. So hopefully here in the next week or 10 days, we can get both of those done and then get them back here for approval to go out for bids. And then 2 weeks soak, a little over, and then see if we can award something.
We'll just pray that the weather continues to cooperate with us and stays cold.
Right now, the coming forecast for the next like 15 to 20 days is for
Cool. Yep.
cold weather.
Yep.
So, any other questions?
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Item number 2, I'm opening up the hearing upon application for the sale of alcoholic beverages, transfer of retail on-sale liquor license, BMS Goat LLC, Stadium Sports Grill to Stadium Sports Grill, Madison Inc. / Stadium Sports Grill. Is there anybody here to talk about for the hearing? Not seeing anybody, I will close the hearing. We'll move down into new business. Number 1, approve application for the sale of alcoholic beverages, transfer of retail on-sale liquor license, BMS Goat LLC, Stadium Sports Grill to Stadium Sports Grill, Madison Inc., Stadium Sports Grill. Do I have a motion to approve this application?
So moved.
Is there any other comments or discussion?
Law enforcement have any issues, Commissioner?
It's a good question. I got a meeting with Justin Meyer tomorrow.
This
You may not need no one.
this has been through us once before, and now they're changing it back. So, and it was good before. So, is there any other comments or discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, Kristen, discuss updating employee face mask policy.
Thank you. So our current face mask policy says that it is required of all city employees to wear a face mask in and on all city property if they are riding in vehicles together. With the availability of vaccines since April 5th to anyone 16 and older, and now that 30 days has passed since that date, we would look to the commission to see if you would be willing to have face masks be optional for city employees in and on all city property, knowing that many departments have done their best to social distance to provide employees that daily sanitation within vehicles and shared equipment. Some are still doing staggered schedules. Some departments have still kept their employees spaced accordingly for more than 6 feet as well. So that would be the recommendation that I would be looking to ask of you guys this evening. Some of the guidelines in there would be if that employees are not comfortable not wearing a mask, they are encouraged to still wear one. Just letting it be optional. That also departments and employees would be encouraged to practice social distancing when able. Most of the employees work outside with various spacing and different accommodations for their departments. So.
I'll make a motion to make it optional for the employees to wear face masks in city buildings and vehicles.
Second.
Any further discussion or comments?
Thanks for your hard work on it. I know
Thank you.
it's been a tedious challenge as we've gone through this, but I'm glad we're getting to the other side of this, especially now that the universities have dropped their face
Correct.
mask policy. I think it's time we probably look at the same mode.
Any other comments? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, Kristen, discuss updating COVID-19 guidelines.
So the guidelines that have been set forth by the commission also currently had that face masks were required. So that change would just be updating that from required to optional. Then again, still letting them know that if they're not comfortable, they can still wear a face mask. Letting employees know that they should still practice social distancing if and when possible. It is also informing them of if they would test positive for COVID-19 that we are still following all CDC and Department of Health guidelines in following those procedures and protocols as to when somebody tests positive. Now, the situation changes a little bit with the vaccines as far as a close contact and that quarantine and isolation period, and we would address that based on every situation that is brought forward to HR with the departments and the department heads and what vaccinations the employee may or may not have. So this is just to basically update the mask portion of the guidelines. Nothing else in there would change as far as if employees would be positive. We would still follow all those guidelines.
I'll make a motion that we update the COVID-19 guidelines.
Second?
Any other discussion or comments?
Do we offer a rapid test for them to return after X number of days?
We
Can they
have,
test out?
we have that capability, yes,
Okay.
to provide that to employees unless they choose to test somewhere else on
Okay.
their own.
Perfect.
And who pays for that?
We have test kits available at the city from the Department of Health.
Okay. And how is that administered?
There are only certain individuals that are able to administer those COVID rapid tests, and there are certain protocols that you have to follow as far as taking that test, and those individuals, I would reach out to them for their availability, and if we needed to have 1 or 2 extra people trained to do that, we could look into that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion or comment? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy here, talk about authorize the mayor to sign American Rescue Plan library grant application and use of library reserves fund to cover the initial expenses.
Yes. I sent you a brief resume of the project. This is the first time I've ever been asked to apply for up to $100,000 for a grant, for a library grant. Usually, the last time we were asked to apply, we were told we could apply up to $1,000. So this is unusual for us. The project that we have identified as being something that we would like to do and have never had the means with which to do it is we want to digitize the back issues and going forward the issues of the Madison Daily Leader. We are the repository for the Madison Daily Leader, and we get frequent questions about things in there. We have microfilm, but the only way you can search microfilm is by date. So if you don't know the date that you want to find your information on, you're going to be sitting in front of the microfilm reader for a very long time. So the process that would be necessary that we've identified is going to cost us in the neighborhood of $35,000. And it will do all of the film we have from 1890 to 2019, which is when the State Archives quit filming. So the grant will reimburse us for the money we spend. So I'm asking if we can use money from the library's reserve fund to reimburse, to get to pay them, and then we will reimburse the library's reserve fund with whatever comes back from the federal government. Do you have questions?
How much is in your reserve fund, Nancy?
Oh, I don't know, I think 60,000.
So there's enough to cover this?
Yes.
How would you access this digitized content?
There will be, it's a website, and it's called Community History or something like that, and you can add to this website. So we've talked to the library at Dakota State. They have copies on microfilm of another newspaper that was publishing in Madison early, called the Madison Sentinel. And so they're looking at writing a grant to digitize that. So we'll put the two together and they will both be on the same website. There were also a bunch of little tiny newspapers. Orland had a newspaper, and they have copies. So they're looking at getting all of those smaller papers digitized at the same time, and we'll have a really nice collection of old newspapers for historians and genealogists, and settle a bet here and there.
Will we be able to move forward then too, past the 2019, it'll just become part of the library expense moving
Yes.
forward?
Thank you, Nancy. Do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign American Rescue Plan library grant application and use the library reserve fund to cover the initial expense?
So moved.
Second.
Any other comments or discussion?
Good luck.
Thank you, thank you.
Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We move board appointments down to item number 5. Do I have a motion to a board appointment, the board members?
I'll make a motion that we appoint the board members and put the Park and Recreation Board tabled for 1 week so that the Park and Rec Board can meet tomorrow night and have a discussion in regards to this.
Second?
They can meet tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Is there, got a motion? Is there, I do have a comment. Is there an issue with the Park and Board?
They haven't had a chance to even appoint. Who appointed these people?
Well, Mark Ferber is on there, and I appointed Bob Thill because he asked to be on it.
Are you on the Park Board though? Don't we have a commissioner that's in charge of the Park Board?
I make the motion, are the one that appoints them. You guys vote on it.
Okay.
Has there ever been a situation where we didn't wait for the recommendation of the park board before we appointed somebody?
That I don't know.
Did you look into it? Did you talk to anybody again? I talked to the chairman of the park board this weekend. He hadn't heard from you. He was very surprised when he heard about this. It's disappointing, Marshall. It's 2 weeks in a row now.
About what?
You just
Disappointed in what?
It's disappointing that you aren't communicating with people.
I talked to Mike McGilvery about it. He
He's
came
not
in.
the chairman of the park board. He's not on the park board. He's our staff person,
Okay.
right? You understand that?
You got a problem?
I do.
What do you got the problem with?
You not communicating. That's what I told you. It's a problem.
All right. Do I have all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Nay. No, motion carries. Public comment. Do we have any?
No, there is none.
Okay. Announcement. We're changing the meeting, May 17th meeting to May 18th. Any other announcements?
I'd like to make one, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
We do have the first gateway for the new automated or advanced metering infrastructure system up and running. We've done 3 meters that are the cities. We're doing those as an initial trial, make sure everything's working. Once we get that all working here in the next couple weeks, our staff will be in the backyards of some people on the eastern part of town, like basically along Division and parts east of Division. And they will be over in that circuits 13 and 14, and they will be basically from the water treatment plant up to the green substation up at the community center. And that area there's going to be some activity there, swapping some meters out, electric meters out, so there'll be some brief outages. We'll put out notices when we get a little closer, but I just wanted to give you a little heads up that that's going to be coming here in the next few weeks, and that we are making progress on that project also. So hopefully we'll have good news with our 3 meters that we've installed right now. What we did is we put the ones that were the highway lighting meters, so if anything happened there, obviously we'd know about it, and it's our own account, so if there's anything gets screwed up on it, we can straighten out our own account. So I thought that was a pretty easy one to do. And hopefully we'll have everything all figured out here in the near future, and we'll start moving forward with the full project.
And if those work, Brad, how many do we own or have ready to install?
We have roughly 200. Our intention is to put in probably somewhere in the mid-70s to start with on the pilot project. And we want to get as many of our current meters read by the new meters as possible so that we reduce our cost on the overall cost of meters. And so the whole purpose of the pilot was to try to see how many meters we can get on there and read them consistently and have everything work. So we're not going to go out there and blow a bunch of them in at once. It's going to be kind of a slower process where we put them in kind of strategically and say, okay, we want to put this one in, see what it can read, put this one in, see what it can read, and get the maximum amount of coverage and just see what our exact ratio is. We're hoping for something along the lines of 3 to 1 on the residential meters, and that'll pick up 3 more electric meters, 3 more water meters plus a water meter for that residence. So that's how that works out. They got 8 registers, so that would be 7 of the 8. And so that's kind of our fingers crossed, hopeful plan. If we get a 3 to 1 ratio, we'll end up saving quite a few meters that are existing that we just paid for. So. All right.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks.
Good deal. Keep
Thank
up
you.
the good work.
No executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Have a nice evening. Yeah.
Locksmith, here, still do.